So before I get into the story time, I just want to mention that I've been kicked out of 3 different high schools. You guys will probably figure out why, and over time, if you guys get to know me through these stories, you guys will realize that it's pretty bad what I was doing back in high school. Like, if I had to estimate myself from a scale of 1 to 10 how good of a kid I would say I was a really, maybe like a 3 out of 10. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I wasn't a good kid because ultimately I was like the ultimate F-boy, because I would always be doing the devil's tango, like to the point where I would skip school and stuff. But this story specifically is from a certain school that I'm not going to mention because obviously privacy reasons. But if anyone remembers me IRL doing this, welcome back. And here's the full story of how it happened. And like I usually say to everyone that's watching this video, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do click that like button. And I'll mention another way where I got kicked out of high school, at least the first high school I went to. But yeah, click that like button. Let's aim for 1,000 likes on this video, and let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy story. So today's story is, like I said, one of the reasons why I got kicked out of high school. This was my second high school I was going to, and honestly, I hated it. The reason I hated it so much was because there was so much gang life going on in that school. Like, I'm not joking. There was literally to a point where kids would literally bring like BB guns to school, since Canadian gun laws are really strict. But not even joking, like kids would walk around holding a Glock going like, yo, what's going on, man? Like, you know what I'm saying, dog? I'm a gangster. Like, I don't know. It was just ultimately the cringiest thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I get there's actual gang life out there, and I know there's like actual like, you know, gangsters out there. But to the point where you're like a 16-year-old kid walking around acting like you own the street, it's gross. Especially when that street is a school street. Like, bro, come on, really? But anyways, like I was saying though, so I remember I went to this one certain school that I absolutely hated. I hated it so much to the point where I would skip school all the time and go home and play Call of Duty. Like, if my friends that went to that school at the time remembered me, it would usually just be them saying, oh yeah, I always saw him like walking down the hallway and leaving. Like, I never barely saw him in class. And this was true. I hated that school. I hated the school with my passion. And honestly, it got to the point where I did not care at all for it. Like, when I'm not joking when I say like I've gone rogue. Like, I went rogue. I did not care. I would skip school. I would literally go meet up with chicks and go do the devil's tango instead of actually being in that school. But I remember one time specifically, this was my grade 10 year and like my first half of grade 10. It was the first semester, and I remember finals week was coming up. And let me say this right now, nobody in our school liked finals week. Like, if I had to mention how many kids were stressing out crying, and all the Asian kids that had strict parents that were crying over getting the most worst marks, was insane. And I remember the first week of finals week were the grade 9s. And the grade 9s, obviously, let's be real here, you can pass grade 9 without actually trying. But when it came to the grade 10s in my year, everyone was stressing out. Obviously, because if you didn't pass the course, then that means that you're going to be stuck in the same course again, except with kids that are younger than you. And that's just ultimately weird, bro. So anyways, I remember I was just chilling and hanging out one time, and I was just going to class as usual. Obviously, I didn't care for finals week, so yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I skipped a lot. But then I remember one time specifically, there was a guy who walked up to me. And this guy, he was like a really rich Asian guy in our school. Like, he came from a totally different like country, and he was rich, he was loaded. He literally drove to school in a Ferrari. If that doesn't say much, then I don't know what does. And I remember he came up to me and he said, hey, like, I see you skip school a lot. Like, do you care for this place? Like, do you not care about school? And I looked at him, I'm like, no, not really. It's just like, I hate the school. The school's butt. I said another word, but obviously for YouTube monetization reasons, we're gonna be PG. And he looks at me saying, I want you to do me a favor. He leans towards me as if he was the mafia boss of the school and says, how much for you to pull the fire alarm? At first I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You want me to pull a fire alarm? Then he looks even closer at me saying, yes, I do want you to pull the fire alarm. Do you have a problem with that? I kind of look at his eyes and I knew that he was dead serious. And then I decided to say, how much are you offering? He goes into his wallet that was like a Louis Vuitton wallet, and he pulls out like $200. And $200 for me was like a bunch of lunch times and literally a brand new video game all in one pocket. And I said, deal. And I grabbed it. I grabbed that money like there was no tomorrow. But then he looked over again at me saying, He took the money back and he said, pull the alarm first, then run to this classroom. I'll hand you the money and you flee the school. At that moment, I knew that this guy had a plan. This guy knew this was gonna happen. And obviously it was because it was finals week and he didn't want to do a final. So I said, bet, watch me. I remember our school at the time didn't have security cameras, by the way. I should probably mention this because probably you guys are like, oh, like there's no way, bro. Like there's a camera there. Like, it would catch you. No, there wasn't security cameras. This was an old school. The school was like having moss in the walls. It was gross. It was a terrible school. But anyways, I walked up to the fire alarm and I pulled it. Well, actually, I didn't just pull it right away. I'm not gonna lie. I counted to 3 in my head because let's be real here. It was kind of nerve-wracking knowing that I was gonna pull a fire alarm right at that moment. But like I said, I pulled the fire alarm and the alarm went off. All I hear is and it was just back to back to back. It got scarier and scarier, and my heart was beating. I was sweating like there was no tomorrow. I was worried. So I remember I had to make sure I didn't get caught. First thing I did was I ran straight to the elevator that was put in our school. I went to the elevator, I sat in the elevator and went down. When I went down to the bottom floor, I ended up running to a bathroom and stopping for a minute. I sat in the bathroom and waited. I waited. Then after that, a teacher decided to come into the bathroom because obviously teachers need to check the bathroom, make sure there's no kids in there. Like, you know, it's just a safety precaution. But I ended up standing on the toilet, kind of just making sure I didn't get caught. I was standing on the toilet, teacher walks in and then walks out. I was safe. I was in the clear. So I decided to stay in the bathroom and just hold and wait. But then I realized that if my teacher saw that I didn't attend class, but I attended my other classes, they could narrow me down. So what I decided to do is I decided to run back out into the hallway and run to my class. When I ran to my class, I realized my class was already outside waiting and they were about to do countdown. And let's just say if you weren't there for countdown, you would be absolutely screwed. So I decided to text my friend saying, yo, like tell him the teacher, like I'm there, like I'll be there. Just wait it. He said, okay, what were you doing though? And I told him, don't ask questions. I ran down to the nearest exit. And as I was running down to the exit, I remember I saw everyone on the field that we all usually have to go to when the fire alarm is pulled, or when the fire alarm goes off, I should say, not pulled. And I ran up to the guy who owed me the money. I said, hey, real quick, can you like pass it? He gives me the money and he said, good job. Then after that, with $200 in my pocket, I put it in my back pocket and I ran to my class. I stood in the line right beside my friend and the teacher was just starting counting. So I made it just in time. After pulling the alarm and knowing I didn't get caught, I'm not gonna lie, I felt some comfort in me. I felt comfortable. I was feeling like I was awesome. Like I got away with pulling the fire alarm at first. And then I'm not gonna lie, it got the best of me. I remember for that whole week, I pulled the fire alarm like 4 times. 4 times that week alone. And then came the 5th day, a beautiful Friday where no one wanted to be in school. Nobody wanted to be in school, especially me. And knowing it was finals week was even worse. I remember I was walking down the hallway and word got around that I was taking money to pull the fire alarm. Many students were talking about it. And then I remember one time there was one girl that walked up to me and she was one of the hottest girls I remember. She was so beautiful. She was so attractive, wide eyes, amazing cheekbones. Like, holy cow. Victoria Justice, like you had nothing compared to these cheekbones. I remember she came up to me and she said, hey, like, Baba, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yeah, sure. Like, what's going on? She told me to come with her and we went to the science lab. And the science lab was empty at the time. And she told me, hey, like, I need you to pull the fire alarm one more time for me. And I told her and I explained to her, like, hey, like, how much are you charging? And she told me, I'm not charging anything. And then she grabbed me closer and kissed me. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was a simp, okay? And this girl was one of the hottest girls in school. And when she kissed me, I said, yeah, I can pull it, like, not an issue. She smirked and smiled and said, good, can you pull it for this class specifically? And I realized it was the one right after lunch. Right after lunch, I would have to pull the fire alarm. Lunch came around and I remember I went up to the fire alarm and I decided to pull it. I pulled it right away just because that girl's kiss really got me going. And knowing I was so comfortable with doing it, I guess I just decided to do it like there was no hesitation. But right when that happened, I remember I started running. And when I started running the corner, teacher, or should I say the principal himself of the damn school, caught me. He caught me. He pulled me into his office. And let's just say, as like I said in the beginning of the video, I got expelled. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for the story. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for listening to this. This was honestly one of the coolest story times I think I should have said, especially on TikTok, knowing I got over millions of views. It's honestly so fun to tell again. But like I always say, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.